Frogman Friday.
Yeah, boy.
What's up, everyone? It's that time again. Welcome to the Frogman Friday Show.
Presented by Transcend, the best peptide and hormone therapy. They put your health first so you can live more and worry less. Go to transcendcompany.com/Birdman to begin your wellness transformation today.
Today, our badass guest is Thomas Dzieran, aka Drago. He served 20 years as a Navy SEAL, retiring as a petty officer first class. He founded ConnectZing in 2018 and can be followed on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can take a deeper dive by going to check out ConnectZing.com. He also authored The Pledge to America, One Man's Journey from Political Prisoner to U.S. Navy SEAL, which you can find on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and Books A Million. He's also a board member at the Navy SEALs Fund, so go check out NavySealsFund.org. Brother, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I have to make a quick disclaimer here. I'm still better with bullets than with words, so I will try my best.
You're awesome, man. This is cool. I've been doing this, almost 3 years now. And when I started this kind of idea, you were the first guest on, and it's really cool to come back full circle. And even though I've seen you in the last 3 years quite a few times, it's cool to have you back on, man.
Yeah. Thank you for the invitation. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you've done a ton since then too. I mean, we're going to jump into ConnectZing here in a second, but one thing I never touched on last time that I want to hit on this time is, let's tell the audience, what was your transition out of the service like?
Mine was not as dramatic as some people have, because in the SEAL teams, I think we don't really get the skills that we acquire in SEAL teams are not always easily transferable into civilian world. For me, it was either get out of the teams and be Kmart guard, or be on the greeter at the Walmart. There's nothing wrong with that. When I came to America, I started working as a janitor, and I'm very proud of it. But so that transition was not difficult for me because I had the skill already that I acquired while in the SEAL teams, but had not connection to SEAL teams. I'm talking about software engineering and programming. So when I got out, I had a job even before I left the Navy. So for me, it was not very dramatic, but this is the field that you always learn something. I'm talking about the software engineering. The field progresses so fast, especially within the last few years, that you really have to stay on the top of it and keep up with it. But anyway, I got a job even before I left the Navy, and then I had the support from my wife, and I think this is the most important part of that transition: have a family support. And there's a lot of guys that can do it on their own. They don't have family, and I have a utmost respect for these guys that be able to transition with maybe minimum support. I had all the support that I needed. Matter of fact, my wife then wrote me my first resume, so so that worked. But the problem was for me, what I was not prepared for was negotiating the jobs. My wife told me that first thing, you do not agree right away to the offer. Just take an offer, ask them for some time to consider it. And I say, absolutely not. I will not agree to anything. I will just go and take an offer from them, and then we'll just start negotiating process. Well, I went up there, got a job. I agreed to everything, and I was working next day. So that was not really. I kind of got scolded a little bit. Next time, you need. I was told to be smarter. Well, the next time come in when I got the offer for an even better job in the software engineering field, I also agreed right away. So I guess I'm not good negotiator. But anyway, my life is great. I enjoy the life. I enjoy everything I do, and the most I enjoy family support. I have two little kids. Oh, they're not little anymore, But yeah, kids, wife, home. I think this is the most important part, because even if something goes wrong with your life, there's always that unit, that family unit you can fall back on.
It's beautifully said, and I think it's a huge point that, I've never really thought deeply about, because when I transitioned out, I didn't have a family. I had obviously parents, but I never had a wife, kids at that point. So there's a lot of guys that are getting out that, they struggle. And if they make their family their number one priority, then the transition would be so much easier, because you're right. I mean, this is something I said to a buddy of mine when he was getting ready to deploy for his first time. He asked me, he said, any words of advice? And I said, what's your number one priority? And he goes, the brotherhood. And I said, wrong. It's your family, because there's no point in fighting overseas if you got nothing to come home to. And he was married with kids, and it struck a chord with him. And I was saying this without having a family at that time, but it is true. Family is number one. So I appreciate you saying that, man. And I'm glad
But
that you didn't have such a hard transition like some guys do.
no, I didn't. Again, because of my family support. But you're right. The priorities, they, I think it should change. Like just like you say earlier, what's your priority, brotherhood? Well, when you come back home, when you leave the SEAL teams, um, there's not only you, but there's also your family, is your wife, that they count on you to be there. They wait for a long time for this moment where you finally come home, and you will not fly all over the world and fight wars. So that, yeah, you need to reprioritize your life. At least this is my opinion. Not everybody may agree with me, but I think that the family needs to come first, because the brotherhood, when you get sick in the hospital, yes, they will help you, but they will not be there every day changing your diaper or whatever happens to you. So if you have a good family, and you have a good support from family, a lot of the hard things that befall sometimes on us are becoming easier.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's very important. And
that's
also
awesome.
that's this is how I create the ConnectZing. That is how I create my business, and that's because yeah, that's kind of yeah, the great support from the family inspired me to do things that I never thought I can.
Well, it's cool. I'm always amazed at how special operators get out and are such entrepreneurs and just have this thirst for wanting to create something. And we have ConnectZing here, and I want to know, tell everybody, why did you create it and what exactly does it do?
Well, ConnectZing I created to communicate with my friends, with people outside, because Facebook, LinkedIn, they censor me. That censorship there was as bad as in a communist country I escaped from eventually. So um, I could, every time I wrote anything about socialism, how socialism works, my account was either restricted or shut down. I couldn't say anything about socialism. Just looks like the word socialism was a like the red flag for the immediately. My account was being shut down um, or restricted. So I got sick and tired of it. I said, I need to create my own social media. And I did. The ConnectZing is similar to Facebook. Has free video chats, and other features. Doesn't cost anything, and is free, but also is free of censorship. There is no censorship. Well, maybe I should say differently. There is no place for ayatollahs and mullahs up there to spit hate against America. If you spit out hate towards my country, towards my America, you'll be gone faster than the speed of light with that lightning. So anything else, you can speak whatever you want to speak, and nobody will restrict you. I believe that this is up to you to decide what you want to believe. And this is not my job. This is not, especially that's not the government job to tell you what you can believe or what you can read, what you cannot read. We've seen how it happened in just the last 4 years with this type of censorship. And again, there was heavy-handed censorship. That was not much different from the censorship in communist country I escaped from. And I know a little bit more about it because my father was a communist apparatchik. He was very high in Polish government, and actually his responsibilities, one of the responsibilities in this Ministry of Art and Culture was censorship. He was the one who decided which book can be published, which will not. He decided what play is going to play in the theaters, what actors can participate in plays. If you were on the list of people not desired by communists, my father wouldn't let you play. You'll be fired. You basically you'll be cancelled. And the cancellation, that's fairly new term here in the West, but in Poland that was quite normal that actors, artists who did not uh, uh, exhibit more, a lot of support for socialism and communism were often ostracized. Their books were removed from the bookstores. For the authors, people could not play in the theaters because they did not support good enough. They didn't support socialism. So
That's crazy. Knowing you and knowing how you are completely the opposite side of that,
yes.
and having your father being in charge of that stuff, that's an incredible family dynamic. Not to mention the fact that normally being raised in that environment, you would seem to fall into that environment, but you chose to take a different path.
Well, a big part of it has a big role in it played my mother, who actually, I would say, saved me from the communism and socialism. Her views, she was a Christian, and my father, uh, because of she was a Christian, had the Christian values, he left pretty quickly. He left us when I was 7 years old because he decided that going to church could jeopardize his work. Real socialism and communism do not go to church. They at least what this is what he believed, that the church, a faith, is just superstition. His belief, and most of the socialists and communists in Poland believe, was that you don't go to church. If you do, then we don't want you in our ranks. So the people who did stick to their faith were pretty quickly often removed from the Communist Party. But I would like to make one statement here too. What people don't understand is that none of the countries in former countries in Eastern Europe, I mean, none of the countries in Eastern Europe were ever communist countries. They were all socialist states run by communists like my father, but they were not communists, not even Soviet Union. They were socialist state. Whether it was Joseph Stalin socialism, or whether it was Polish version of socialism, or Adolf Hitler version of socialism, National Socialism, they all had the same thing in common. There was the political prisoners, extreme censorship, like my father was in charge of it in Poland, uh, attacks on family values, attacks on faith, just like in my family. My father tried to remove the faith and church from our lives, and those are typical things for socialisms that I know.
Wow.
And one more thing too, I hear arguments quite often that, well, socialism is not really that bad because socialism is just building the roads by the government paying for the roads, paying for schools, paying for firefighters and first responders. But well, this is pretty naive and dumbed up version of because if that was a social version, if that was a definition of socialism, then Taliban would be socialist as well. Then Morocco, Pakistan, they would be socialist states as well. The government does that there. That's not the socialism. That people just need to understand that socialism is a very dangerous concept.
100%. And that's not what this country is founded on and what we're going back to. get
Well,
ourselves
let's
back.
hope not. And I
Yeah.
think we are on the right path now. At least we start going into the right direction. But I tell you what, I hate to bring the politics here, but I think I was very concerned the direction our country was taking. I mean, the political persecution that I know from communist, well, socialist. People call it communism, and I sometimes say the same thing, but the socialism, socialist Poland. So the political persecutions, the judicial terror, and I experienced it myself. I was sentenced to 3 years prison time for printing and distributing the leaflets that were outside of communist censorship. So yeah, that's the interesting thing is that Poland is no longer socialist state; is no longer run by communists. And matter of fact, in May of this year, I went to Warsaw and I testify in case of the against the judge who sentenced me to prison. He is being prosecuted by Polish government now for communist crimes, crimes against Polish nation, crimes against humanity, and also for judicial terror. So yeah, that's full circle now.
Good. That's amazing. It is amazing, full circle. I've seen you
Yeah.
on social media jumping over to Poland quite a bit. It's not just over there to testify. What else has been going on over there for you lately?
Well, I was for my I worked with in Iraq with also with Polish Grom. So I was the liaison officer between our guys, between SEALs and Grom. It was great. For me, it was a great experience. I mean, I was like double dipping. I was going on missions with Grom and with us. So, um, but I was awarded the highest medal uh, that can be given to foreigner by Polish army. So I went to receive medal from the gold medal for contribution to the uh, to operations of Polish army in Iraq. So yeah,
Well,
that's
you're
a great
amazing,
honor.
man, and you're so humble. Because if I were awarded that medal, I would have showed up to this interview butt naked with just that medal around my chest, with how much pride I
I am
had for it.
extremely proud. I am extremely proud of it. This is very, very high medal in Polish armed forces. The only other people that I know who were awarded it is General Petraeus, Swan, and also one of our soldiers, American soldiers who saved uh, Polish soldier on battlefield. He was killed, but he saved that Polish soldier. He was awarded the same medal. So as big is a great honor for me to receive that, and also great responsibility
Yeah.
too.
Amazing, man. Well, diving back into ConnectZing, so it's basically an app, social media application where there is no censorship. You be free to talk about what you want to talk about. Essentially runs like Facebook. And what do people need to do to get engaged with it? Do they need to go to the app store on their phone and download the link, or how does this all work?
No, we had to actually remove the app because we were pressured by Google to for certain social constructs, and we were told that yeah, we just didn't agree with it. We didn't want Google to mess with our platform, and most of those apps are built with Google API, and we decide the website that does work like app on the phone, and I don't think you could tell the difference even. But we decide not to give in to Google, censorship and Google constructs that we didn't agree with.
Okay, so you actually
Social
go to the
construct.
website. You go to the
Yeah, go to
website,
the
then
website. Yes,
connectzing.com, and that
yes,
is how you create your account and start getting activated.
yes. Also, another thing is on. We are not connected to Google or Amazon platforms with ConnectZing. We have our own data center. We have our own servers, so they cannot do to us what they did to Parler. I don't know if you remember that platform,
Yep.
which was the platform shut down very quickly because uh, 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 people, some didn't disagree with the freedom there.
I love
On
it.
those
You
platforms.
control everything, the back end
I
of it.
control everything.
Yep.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, everybody who's listening, go check out ConnectZing.com and get yourself started with an account, because you are truly free from censorship. You don't have to worry about putting all your friends together and then all of a sudden losing your data and you being shut down and not being able to communicate, talk, or share what you want to share, which is something we all yearn for. And I rarely put a lot of work into social media because of this nature, because I'm like, why am I going to work so hard and put money into building this thing that somebody could take away in 2 seconds, even though
Sure.
it is a marketing tool? So this is awesome, man.
And unlike other platforms, we do not own your content. So if you decide to leave ConnectZing, everything goes with you. You can, when you cancel or close your account, then nothing is left. All your messages, all your information is gone. So yeah, we do not own your content. You own it. You do whatever you like to do with it.
That's amazing.
So that's kind of a little bit different.
It's so good. It's so good. Well, everybody go check out ConnectZing.com. Let's fast forward. We've already been talking a lot about it, but you authored this book, which is really cool. I love it that it's not like this thick, because I have limited time and I also am like a fifth grader. So, you have to bear with me on stuff. But you offered this book, The Pledge to America, which is such an awesome name considering your background and, what you believe. Because I don't know anybody who is more of an American than you are, man. And
Uh,
so it's
it is
it's the
honor for me
truth.
to hear it.
Everybody feels
Thank
that way
you.
about you, man.
But please remember, everything that I have today, everything that I own, my family, I owe to America and American people. So that was the only reason I went and joined our military. I became U.S. citizen, and the first Persian War broke out. So I the, I just couldn't sit on the sidelines. I believe now, because I already had a life established in America by this time. I had a great job. I was Mercedes mechanic. I was skydiving. I would eventually start teaching skydiving and AFF. So I, when the first war broke out, I also became U.S. citizen. So I say I cannot just sit on the sideline. This is my moral obligation to do something for America, to to serve America. For me, the most straightforward, the best way to serve America was to join military. So I decided to hang my life for a few years for the time of war, and I believe that when the war will be over, then I will uh, come back and resume my life. It never happened, so I stayed in the Navy for 20 years. But yeah, that I believe that was my moral obligation to do something for my country. I decided to join military, and I'm very proud of it. Though I need to add here too that we serve America in so many different ways. You don't have to join military to do so. You can be first. Look on first responders, how they serve America. They serve our families. They keep us safe. Even people who don't serve anywhere, if they are good citizens, they serve America. So you can serve America in so many ways. People just need to realize that doesn't have to be in uniform. For me, if serving in uniform was not only great honor, but I believe moral obligation to fight on behalf of American people in America.
Now, the similar thing to you connecting or creating ConnectZing, you papered this book um, because there was just so much unrest about socialism, Marxism, communism, and what was infiltrating this country. And talk about the journey of writing this book, and what did that make you feel? How long did it take you to put together? And do you feel it achieved what you wanted it to achieve?
So that book was it took me years. I would say, to write, because I just didn't want to do it. Teammates, my fellow SEALs who knew my story, they always say, "You need to put it in the book. You need to put this in the book." I say, "Yeah, okay, well, and I will do it one day." And eventually, I think Dan Bongino, he heard my story and he said, "I'm going to publish your book. You need to write the book." So yes, that took me maybe a year to do it. I'm not very diligent, so yeah, that was a long process for me, but also very, I would say, enlightening too. Because also, yeah, I remember when I started writing it, I, I decided, okay, I'm going to write a book. I start writing it. Well, this is not how you write the book. Just start writing the book. And here, my wife, she's way smarter than I am, of course.
They all
Uh,
are.
they are, yes. So she said, "No, you don't write the book. You just write about yourself. Just wake up every morning. Something comes to your head. Just write it down. And the chronology of it, you can set it up later. But if you just decide to write the book, sit down at the desk and start writing, you will go nowhere. At least in my case, she knows me, so she knew I wouldn't be successful. So this is what I was doing. I was just collecting small thoughts here and there, and eventually that book became reality. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Dan Bongino, for helping me with it and for publishing that book. So yeah, that was for me a big one. But
That's amazing.
also, I think, and I hear it very often from people, "Yeah, but you have all kinds of cool stories." I don't have any stories to write. So you don't have to have cool stories to write. That book actually, that's what changed in me when I started writing this book. I realized that, this is like saying thank you to America, but also letting my children know who I was, where I came from. I realized that my family, I don't know much about it. My father is no longer alive. My mom is passed away. My father, I don't really have any family left that I can come back and say this is where they came from. They didn't leave anything in writing. All I know about my family are anecdotes that I hear from my grandmother when she was alive, my father, but there's nothing there written. So our memory fades. Things that I remember sometimes is not the way that I heard it from my grandmother or my mother. So my children and my grandchildren eventually, they will never know past my story. They will never know too much about my origins, my where I. They will know I came from Poland, but my grandmother, mother, they will be just totally lost. And I think we all need to do it for our children and grandchildren, for our families. So one day, maybe 100 years down the road, they will know, hey, this is my grandfather. It was my great grandfather. This is where he came from. And I think that knowing this is important for the family. So if you didn't if you didn't write the book, you get on it and do it for uh, as a gift to your children and grandchildren. Because again, the third generation, fourth generation, they will not remember anecdotes and what somebody told somebody. They will know what is written. You need to put it in writing, and everybody needs to do it. I think, especially in America, such a beautiful country, there is so many beautiful things to write. There are so many tragic things, but you need to write this. You need to put this in writing.
Well, I agree with you. I actually, it's kind of funny. I was trying to think about how I could write some piece that helps somebody when they were struggling. So the last thing you want to do when you're struggling is talk to people, right? You want to hide from people until you can at least get some strength to do that. And we're trained, and just by nature of most of the team guys, to not tell everybody that we're not doing all right. And so my idea was writing this book where it basically broke down every instance where things went wrong, and then bringing in a sports psychologist to talk about what is truly happening during this time frame. What am I going through mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, so that somebody could read this book and then maybe relate to it and get some of that strength to say, I'm not the only one struggling with this issue. and I can move forward and I can go tell other people. But ultimately, when we started writing, I realized I was like, man, I'm pretty screwed up. I don't know that I'm ready for this book to come out. And so we started writing this from a place of, I'm not going to publish it. This book is purely for my children, and it's going to be a full memoir for them so that they know who their dad was and they could understand some of the traits that I had and why maybe I acted a certain way. But yeah, it's going to be just a couple copies printed. It'll be one for my kids and one for my wife and my parents. And that's about that.
Well, that's what you might say. That's what you might plan. But I know your story, Ryan. So I think it's very inspiring, and this is something that would be awesome that if you share it with other people too, even about your family. Maybe there's people are very protective of the family. So am I.
Mhm.
But I think your story is very inspiring. I think you should share it, and that you shouldn't restrict it that just today
I
to
appreciate that.
to your kids. So.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I heard about we were in Iraq at the same time when the IED happened to you. So I remember it was like I heard your story. I mean, you are a legend, man. So there was when IED blew up. You are the guy actually who got thrown out of the Humvee. That's where your nickname is coming from too. Uh, Birdman is not because your name, it's because you flew like the bird out of the Humvee. It's not funny, I know, but it's just kind of for the team guys would be like, damn. So you were thrown away from X from the ambush point. You just were second later, all burned up and bleeding, right back into the Humvee and saving lives. Not thinking about the ambush, not thinking about what may happen. That you are coming back on X and maybe just shot second later. You did. So yeah, it is very inspiring. It is inspiring to me. And I think that if I remember, that's when I talked to you first time. I was like, hey, there's that crazy guy, and then I say what you did, how you act, how you save lives in combat, and so yeah, I know the story. That's me. It's like, oh, because you were in Habania and I was in Baghdad at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we know the story.
My first deployment.
Utmost respect, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. Really appreciate you. Well, let's dig into something really, really fun that both of us are a part of, which is the Navy SEALs Fund. This is obviously, there are a ton of SEAL charities out there, and this one is obviously dear to my heart and most important. Because what I love about it is that we, as a collective board of SEALs, we vote on things quickly to help that particular person in need. And you don't have to go through a ton of red tape. There's not a huge wait list. There's not forever. It doesn't take forever to get an answer. I mean, it's just like, it doesn't matter what era of SEAL you served. We're here for you and we're ready to deploy if you need our help. And that's so let's
Yes.
dig into Navy SEALs Fund. Tell everybody why it was started, what exactly we do. Let's just go through it all.
We founded it in 2009 because I remember at that time there was a lot of restrictions for SEALs. Well, if you are pre 9/11 Navy SEAL, we can't help you. There's only for past 9/11. There's some of the charities had different restrictions. I say, you know what? If this guy is a SEAL or former SEAL and falls on the hard time, this is our responsibility as a community to help him. So he can get back into society and be productive. And sometimes, it happens to us, and it happened to me. How many times I was thinking, gosh, I wish if I could pay this bill, I could, all the
Yeah.
other bills would be easy to do it and I would just catch up with it. And sometimes I could, sometimes I could, and then found myself on the hard and fell on the hard times. So I say we need an organization that does not differentiate what SEALs you are, what time you serve. We need to help all of us. So that was the initial idea. We went even further. For us, we help SEALs who fell in on hard times in SEAL teams. There were SEALs who, especially now after the 20 years of war, we who suffer a lot. I mean, these guys are in constant combat. Please remember this: This war was fought in big part by special forces, and SEALs were, among others, SF guys were on the front lines. So sometimes, if there is a behavioral problem, I noticed command quite often like to just let off the guy, say, "Hey, you know what? You did this and this. We're just gonna cut you loose, and you just go. You tomorrow you are not part of the U.S. Navy." Well, so this is the guy. Let's say I was in out that I know I was fighting with him shoulder to shoulder in Baghdad. Suddenly he steps on some he he made mistake, and he's discarded just like nobody. Just okay, you made mistake, you leave the Navy. These guys are left with basically no help, no access to medical care, and please remember that after so many explosions, so many shootings and combat, they too suffer, and some of those mistakes maybe happen because of their brain doesn't function as well as before. So instead of just telling, "Well, you're on your own, go ahead, and whatever happens to you is not my business," we know we embrace every SEAL. If you fell on the hard times, we really don't care, how you left the Navy. If you need help, Navy SEALs Fund will stand by your side and will help you get on your feet. Also, we do not have paid position within the Navy SEALs Fund, and I like it. Like you, like fellow SEALs who are on our board of directors, they don't get paid. Nobody gets paid. They all contribute to the organization, to the charity, and this is why we are so effective. We're one of the very few charities during the COVID times that did not scale down. Uh, like I'm aware of some organizations that say, "Well, today we cannot do this. Maybe when the COVID is over, we can ramp up our help." We didn't. We powered through it. I think because in big part because our people on our board of directors, they didn't ask for money. They just asked, "How can we help?" And we did. We are still helping. So I'm very proud of it. It's not me, this is us, this is you, this is other SEALs are on our board of directors who make this charity so effective. But also, I have to tip the hat uh, to the uh, um, well, see my I'm the guys who started it too, because that was not only me, and that's how it became.
It's an awesome organization, brother. One of the things that I love the most, like I said, there was no red tape, and the idea is if you were a Trident or you were a Navy SEAL, doesn't matter the era, and you fell in hard times or you just need help, we're here for you. The idea that a submission comes in for a request for help, and immediately we are getting an email from Rachel, and it's saying, "Hey, this is what the need is," and then we are on it really quickly. When
Oh
you're on
yes,
hard when you're on hard
yes.
times and somebody's looking at it that quickly, it makes you feel like the center of the world for a split
We
second,
have
which
to
is
be.
awesome.
We have to be like this. Ryan, you know from your own experience, and SEALs. The most difficult part for the SEAL, I think, after leaving the Navy is ask for help. Our guys just refuse to ask for help. This is why we need to be so quick, because sometimes we get a call, and not even from the guy, it's from his friend. Say, "Hey, this guy here, his home is going to they're going to foreclosure on his house. When? Oh, tomorrow. Why is he waiting? Well, he was trying to deal with it, but everything fell through. He can't. So we have to be quick because he can lose the house." And it happened quite a few times that we step in, and we got the call in the morning. In the evening, Rachel was on the phone with the mortgage company, and we made that payment. So put him back in the saddle. And yeah, we have to be quick. We had another case too of the SEAL in South America, one of the islands. He was disabled, and uh, had no money, had the hospital there told him that he will have to leave. He was paralyzed. So we just had to get him out of that island to VA center. And within, I think, 24 hours, we had a medevac flying there and evacuating that former SEAL from that island. I also remember in the COVID time, we there was a SEAL in the hospital in very bad shape. Basically, the doctors give up on him, say like this, there's so much we can do, we really cannot do much more unless we have that medicine. So Rachel was able to get on, I think, Sweden or Norway. I think Norway, Israel, and the pharmacist in California to talk to each other. They organized the lift of that medicine. So there was another organization with Dave Hall who actually helped organize the flight. We had a guy flying to I think California, if I remember it right. That medicine was actually thrown over the fence to the pilot by the pharmacist, but it was coming from again, the pharmacist was told by the owners of this pharmaceutical company to do that. So they ran up to the airport, they throw the medicine, the airplane take off, and matter of fact, the doctor, because we were in constant contact with the doctor in the hospital that Navy SEAL was staying, he asked if we can go one more because he's one more COVID patient that needs help, and he's in the same position. So we actually ran two medicines, 2 doses of that medicine to that hospital. We flew it. So that was organized within 20, I think, less than 12 hours. I think it was a Thanksgiving Day.
I remember this story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. Just Mission Command Center, getting everything set up, hearing the
yeah, I
action
mean,
plan behind it.
they organized the call, between Israel and Europe and California. It was just even I was amazed what our guys, what our people can do.
So cool. Yeah, if you're looking this season, obviously we're getting into the Christmas season, the giving season, and you're looking for a charity to place money where you know that 100% of it is going to go to the output of helping that patient, i.e. the Navy SEAL and their families. You can go check out NavySealsFund.org. I can't think of a better organization out there that really supports the person that is in need. And there's just no bullshit around it. That's the beauty of it. It's just what it's supposed to be.
It's easy because the SEAL community is very small, so we can verify very quickly if the need exists, what the need is, and we can act on it. But I would like to mention one guy who is was very instrumental. He is still very instrumental, as Duke Harbin. Yeah. I remember when we create that organization at the beginning, I called Duke and said, Duke, so I just registered in Navy SEALs Fund. This is what we do. Would you join us and would you lead us? So he said, yeah, sure. Okay, come on. So me and Rachel, my wife, we flew to California. We met with Duke. So he said, like, how much money do you have right now? I said, we just started. We have $800 that I and Rachel just donated to it. He said, well, we need to do better than that. So he took helm and he brought us on the big waters. So yeah, we owe the Navy SEALs Fund, owe to Duke Harbin a lot. And this guy is still on our board of directors. And I'm very proud of having Duke Harbin with us.
Yeah, he's a stud. I had him on.
Yes, he is.
I had him
first
on.
responders today. I mean, he was first responders for a long time.
Yeah, he was firefighter. And I had him on. We've done a couple different things together, but I had him on years ago, and he talked about Navy SEALs Fund. And now he's living his best life, traveling the world and surfing, and just beyond happy. Yeah.
Just want him to stay safe.
Yeah, no doubt.
Some of the stuff he's doing is crazy. Now, surfing for me is crazy. Just I tell you that. Yeah, great guy, Duke
Yeah.
Harbin.
Duke
Did my
Harbin.
time.
Shout out Duke. Absolutely. Well, brother, you got all kinds of good stuff going on here. And what I love about everything is it's all coming from passion. You know, it's not like, hey, I'm just going to create something because I want to go make a boatload of money. There's a real cause and effect here for everything that you've done. Everything you've built helps others. And that's incredible. It just shows your character and who you are. A lot of people have heard your name. They know the notorious Drago, but they don't actually know you. And I do know you. And it's amazing how you can be such a, you know, what do they call it? A steely-eyed killer, hardcore dude, but you can be such a good, compassionate human being with empathy at the same time. And that's exactly who you are, man. So
Oh, thank you, Ryan. But people like you inspire me. So I always wanted to be like you guys, and especially your story. So yeah, I appreciate, and it's a great honor for me to know you and work with you. Absolutely, thank you.
yeah, you're very, very kind, and you're being too sweet. Obviously, you don't want to go back to being 160 pounds and basically barely going through puberty. So I think you're doing just fine with your muscle and all that. Well, brother,
Trying to keep up.
let's share it out. Everything we got here. So we got ConnectZing.com. Go check it out. Create yourself an account today. No censorship. Where social media can actually be fun and you can keep all your content. That's huge. Go check up a copy or pick up a copy of The Pledge to America, One Man's Journey for Political Prisoner to U.S. Navy SEAL. You can find it on Amazon, or you can go to the bookstores, Barnes & Noble or Books A Million. And then if you're looking to give this season during the holidays to support Navy SEALs and their families, you go check out Navy SEALs, and that's plural, SEALs, NavySealsFund.org, and make a donation today. And brother, keep doing what you're doing. I'm sure you're going to have some closing comments, but
One more
I'm
comment.
grateful. Yeah, man, send it.
Our social media is run by Jeff Ferriosi and his company. Is great to have support of these technically savvy people. So, Jeff, thank you very much for everything you do for our community. Thank you everything you do for our organization, Jeff Ferriosi.
Right on, brother.
Thanks.
We're going to blast this out. Let everybody know what you're up to, and we're going to keep rocking this together, man. Thanks for giving me opportunity to be a part of your life and being a part of this organization. And I'm always here if you need anything.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor to be on your show as well. Thank you.
Frogman Friday. Long live the Brotherhood.